Park Tai-ho stood at the docking bay window and looked at his new ship. The wandering star was not beautiful. It was old. It had scratches on the metal body. The paint was fading in many places. But it was his. He had saved money for 7 years to buy this ship. 7 long years of working for other people. 7 years of following orders he did not like. Now he was free. He picked up his bag and walked toward the ship. Orbital Station 12 was busy today. Hundreds of people moved around him. Some were humans like him. Others were aliens from distant worlds. He heard many languages. He smelled food from different planets. This was normal life at a space station. Tai-ho reached the entrance of his ship. He put his hand on the scanner. The door opened with a soft sound. He stepped inside and took a deep breath. The air smelled like metal and old plastic. It smelled like freedom. He walked through the narrow hallway. The ship was not big. It had a small bridge at the front for flying. It had a cargo area in the middle for carrying goods. It had sleeping rooms at the back for the crew. But Tai-ho did not need a crew. He planned to fly alone. He liked being alone. He reached the bridge and sat in the captain's chair. The seat was worn, but comfortable. He touched the control panel. Lights came on. Screens showed information about the ship. Everything looked good. He smiled for the first time in many days. Tai-ho started the launch process. He sent a message to the station control. They gave him permission to leave. He felt his heart beat faster. This was really happening. His new life was starting. The ship moved slowly away from the station. Stars filled the view screen. They were beautiful. Tai-ho had seen stars many times before. He had been a military pilot for 10 years. He had fought in 2 wars. He had seen terrible things. But somehow, the stars still made him feel peaceful. He set a course for the merchant routes. These were the safe paths between planets where traders moved goods. He would start small, carry simple cargo, build his reputation. Maybe one day he would have a bigger ship, maybe a small fleet. He allowed himself to dream. Then the lights went out. Tai-ho sat in complete darkness. His hands moved fast on the control panel. Nothing worked. The screens were dead. The engines were silent. Even the life support systems had stopped. He could feel the air getting thin already. He reached for the emergency flashlight under his seat. The small light cut through the darkness. He stood up carefully. Something was very wrong. New ships did not fail like this. Someone had done this on purpose. He heard footsteps behind him. Tai-ho turned around fast. His military training took over. He held the flashlight like a weapon. It was not much, but it was something. A woman stood in the doorway, but she was not human. Her skin was pale blue, like the color of ice. Her eyes were silver, and they reflected his flashlight beam. She was tall and thin. She wore tight black clothing that looked like armor, and she held a plasma pistol pointed at his chest. Tai-ho knew this species. They were called Valari. He had fought against them in his military days. They were dangerous. Very dangerous. The galaxy knew them as mercenaries and assassins. They took money to kill people. They never failed. More figures appeared behind her. For more women, all Valari, all armed. They surrounded him in seconds. The first woman spoke. Her voice was cold, like her appearance. "Do not move, human. Do not speak. Listen." Tai-ho stayed still. He was not stupid. 5 armed Valari against 1 human with a flashlight? Those were not good odds. The woman stepped closer. She was the leader. He could tell by the way the others watched her. She studied his face like she was reading a book. "My name is Nira," she said. "This ship belongs to us now. You have 2 choices. You can help us, or you can die. Choose." Tai-ho looked at the pistol. It was very close to his heart. 1 shot, and he would be dead. He thought about fighting. He thought about dying. Then he thought about living. "What do you want?" he asked. Nira almost smiled. "Almost. Smart human. We need a captain. A human captain." "Why?" Because Valeri's ships cannot enter 12 systems we need to pass through. Your people banned us long ago, but human ships can go anywhere. No one stops humans. No one asks questions. Taiho understood now. They were using him. They needed his face, his identity, his species to get through checkpoints. He was not a captain to them. He was a key. And if I refuse... Nira pressed the pistol against his chest. He felt the cold metal through his shirt. Then we take your ship anyway. We remove your body. We find another human. There are many humans in this galaxy. You are not special. She was right. He was not special. He was just a tired ex-soldier who wanted a quiet life. But that life was gone now. Maybe it was never really possible. If I help you, Taiho said slowly, what happens after? After we finish our journey, you are free. You keep your ship. You keep your life. We disappear. You never see us again. How do I know you will keep that promise? Nira looked at him with her silver eyes. There was something in them. Something that was not just coldness. You do not know, but you have no choice. So the question does not matter. She was right again. Taiho let out a long breath. The air was getting harder to breathe. He needed to decide now. Fine, he said. I will help you. Nira lowered her weapon. She nodded to one of the other women. The lights came back on. The screens lit up. Air began flowing again. They had controlled everything from the start. 3 days passed on the wandering star. 3 long, strange days. Taiho learned to live with his captors. He had no other choice. The ship was small. There was nowhere to hide. Everywhere he went, he saw blue skin and silver eyes watching him. At first, the Valari women did not talk to him. They gave him orders. Fly here. Turn there. Do not touch that panel. He obeyed. He was a prisoner pretending to be a captain. They were captors, pretending to be a crew. But slowly, things began to change. The first one to speak to him was the engineer. Her name was Dova. She was shorter than the others, with darker blue skin and quick hands that never stopped moving. She spent most of her time in the engine room, taking things apart and putting them back together. On the second day, Taiho heard a loud noise from below. He went to check. He found Dova sitting on the floor, surrounded by pieces of metal. She was staring at the ship's secondary thruster. It was completely broken apart. What happened? Taiho asked. Dova did not look at him. Your ship is garbage. Human engineering makes no sense. Why would you build it this way? It is stupid. Taiho looked at the pieces. He recognized the problem. The connectors are reversed. Human ships use a different standard than Valari ships. Ove finally looked at him. Her silver eyes were suspicious. You know engineering? I know my ship. She studied him for a moment. Then she pointed at the floor. Sit. Show me. Taiho sat down. He picked up the pieces and began explaining. Human ships were built for easy repair, not efficiency. Everything was modular. You could swap parts without special tools. Dova listened carefully. She did not agree with all his explanations, but she stopped calling his ship garbage. They worked together for 2 hours. When the thruster was fixed, Dova gave him a small nod. It was not friendship. But it was something. The second one to notice him was Yen, the medic. She was the oldest of the group. Her face had thin lines around the eyes. She moved more slowly than the others, but with more purpose. On the second night, Taiho cut his hand on a sharp edge in the cargo bay. It was a small cut, but it bled a lot. He went to find something to wrap it. Yen appeared from nowhere. She grabbed his hand without asking. She examined the cut with careful eyes. Sit. She said Taiho sat on a cargo box. Yen opened a small medical kit. She cleaned the cut with something that stung. Then she wrapped it with a thin white bandage. Her hands were gentle. Human blood is red, she said. It was not a question. Yes, Valari blood is blue. Like our skin? Taiho did not know what to say, so he just nodded. Yin finished the bandage. She looked at his face. You are not afraid of us. Why? It was a good question. Taiho thought about it. I was a soldier. I learned that fear does not help. It only makes things worse. You fought against Valari. Yes, long ago. Yen was quiet for a moment. We are not all soldiers. Some of us just want to live. She walked away before he could respond. But her words stayed with him. The pilot was named Kessa. She was the most difficult to understand. She barely spoke to anyone, not just Taiho. She sat in the pilot's seat and stared at the stars. Her hands moved on the controls like she was playing music. Taiho watched her fly through a dense asteroid field on the third day. It was incredible. She moved the ship between the rocks like water flowing through stones. No hesitation, no fear. Just perfect movement. When they were clear, Taiho spoke. You are the best pilot I have ever seen. Asa did not look at him. Her jaw was tight. Her eyes were empty. I have had a lot of practice. Where did you learn? In the war? She said nothing more. Taiho understood. He had met soldiers like her before. They gave everything to the fight. When the fight ended, there was nothing left inside. Just the skill. Just the movement. The person was gone. The leader, Nira, watched everything. She rarely slept. She rarely ate. She walked through the ship like a ghost, checking every room, every system, every person. She did not trust Taiho. She did not trust anyone. But on the third night, she came to the bridge while he was alone. She stood beside his chair and looked at the star map. You could have sabotaged the ship, she said. 3 times now. The engine room, the medical supply, the navigation system. You did not. Taiho kept his eyes on the stars. I am not stupid. If the ship breaks, we all die. That is one reason. What is the other? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I saw her. In the cargo bay, the girl in the medical pod, near his body went stiff. Her hand moved toward her weapon. You went into the cargo bay? I was looking for tools. I found her instead. Taiho finally looked at Nira. She is young. Maybe 14 or 15 years old. She is very sick. The pod is keeping her alive, but barely. Nira's silver eyes were hard. Dangerous. What else do you know? Nothing. I did not look at the medical records. I did not touch anything. Paused. Who is she? For a moment, Nira did not answer. Her face was like stone. Then, slowly, something changed. The hardness cracked just a little. Her name is Suri. She is Rila's younger sister. Taiho looked toward the back of the ship. Rila was the youngest of the crew, the one with curious eyes who kept looking at him. She was only a few years older than the girl in the pod. What is wrong with her? A blood disease. It is common among Valari. There is no cure in our space. But humans have medicine. Human doctors can save her. Nira's voice was flat, but underneath Taiho could hear the pain. That is why we took your ship. That is why we need to reach human space. We are not criminals. We are not mercenaries. Not anymore. We are just trying to save a child's life. Everything made sense now. The fear in Rila's eyes, the sadness in Yen's voice, the desperation in Nira's actions. They were not bad people. They were people with no other choice. You were soldiers, Taiho said. What happened? We deserted, ran away. The Valari military does not forgive desertion. They are hunting us. If they catch us, we die. If they catch Sori, she dies anyway because she will not get treatment. Nira's hands were shaking. She noticed and made them stop. So we stole this ship. We found you. And now, we are here. Taiho looked at her for a long time. She was not cold. She was afraid. She was just very good at hiding it. I will help you, he said. Nira frowned. You've already agreed to help us. No. Before, I agreed because I had no choice. Now I agree because I want to. She did not understand. He could see it in her face. Why? Because your sister is dying? Because you are scared. Because fighting is not always the answer. He turned back to the controls. I was a soldier too. I know what it means to have no good choices. I know what it means to run. Nira was silent. She stood beside him for a long time, not moving, not speaking. Then she walked away without a word. But Taiho noticed something. She did not check on him for the rest of the night. For the first time, she left him alone. It was not trust, not yet, but it was the beginning of something. The next morning, Rilla came to the bridge. She stood in the doorway, looking at him. Her eyes were red. She had been crying, Nira told me, she said quietly. You saw Sori, yes? She is my only family. Our parents died in the war. I raised her. I protected her. And now she is dying, and I cannot stop it. Taiho did not have words. What could he say? So he just listened. We will reach the Corvin checkpoint tomorrow, Rilla continued. There will be hunters waiting. They always find us. They always attack. Maybe tomorrow we will all die, maybe Taiho said. But maybe not. We have made it this far. Rilla looked at him. In her silver eyes, he saw something he did not expect. Hope, small and fragile, but real. Humans are strange, she said. Taiho almost smiled. I have heard that before. The wandering star continued through space. Tomorrow would bring danger. Tomorrow might bring death. But for now, the ship was quiet. And somewhere in the cargo bay, a sick girl slept in a medical pod, dreaming of a life she might never have. Taiho looked at the stars and made a promise to himself. He would get them through. All of them. No matter what it cost, he just hoped the cost would not be too high. The Corvin. Checkpoint appeared on the screen like a wall of metal and light. It was a massive station floating in the darkness between two star systems. Ships had to pass through here to enter human space. There was no other way. Taiho slowed the wandering star. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. Around him, the Valari crew stood at their positions. They were tense. Ready for trouble? Nira stood beside his chair. Her pistol was in her hand. She was not pointing it at anyone. But she was ready. How many hunters? Taiho asked. Kessa checked the sensors. Her face went pale. Even for a Valari, she looked scared. 3 ships. Military class. They are holding position on the far side of the checkpoint. 3 military ships. The Wandering Star was a cargo vessel. It had no weapons. No shields worth mentioning. If those ships attacked, the fight would be over in seconds. They know we are here, Nira said. Her voice was calm, but Taiho could see her jaw tighten. They were waiting for us. How did they find us? Rilla asked. Her voice was shaking. It does not matter how. They are here. Nira looked at Taiho. Can we go around? No, the checkpoint is the only legal passage. If we try to go around, both the hunters and the checkpoint security will attack us. Dova cursed in Valari. The words were harsh and angry. So we fly into the trap. Wonderful plan. Yen was checking her medical supplies. Her movements were quick and nervous. How long do we have? 20 minutes until we reach the checkpoint, Kessa said. The hunters will intercept us 5 minutes after we pass through. 20 minutes. Not enough time to think. Not enough time to plan. Taiho stared at the screen. 3 military ships. 5 scared women. 1 sick child. And him. Nira made a decision. We fight. When they attack, we fight. We will lose, Taiho said quietly. And we die fighting. That is the Valari way. And Suri. She dies too? Nira's face twisted with pain. But she did not change her answer. We have no choice. Taiho thought about those words. No choice. He had heard them so many times. In the military, in life. People always said there was no choice. But that was rarely true. There was always another way. Sometimes it was just hard to see. He looked at the hunter ships on the screen. They were not moving. They were waiting. Why? Then he understood. They are not going to attack us near the checkpoint, he said slowly. Nira frowned. What do you mean? The Corvin checkpoint is neutral territory. Many species use it. If the hunters attack here, they create a diplomatic problem. The checkpoint security will get involved. Other ships will report what they saw. It becomes messy, so they wait until we pass through. Then they attack in open space where no one sees. Exactly. Taiho leaned back in his chair. His mind was working fast now. But that means they have to follow the rules. At least until we leave the checkpoint. The rules mean nothing. They will kill us anyway. Maybe, but rules exist for a reason. And humans are very good at using rules. Nira stared at him. She did not understand. None of them did. They were Valari. Their culture was built on strength and combat. When there was a problem, you fought. When you could not fight, you died. That was all they knew. But Taiho was human. And humans had survived for thousands of years not because they were the strongest, not because they were the fastest. Humans survived because they talked. They made deals. They found ways around problems instead of through them. Give me the communications channel, Taiho said. Dova looked at Nira. Nira hesitated. Then she nodded. The communication screen lit up. Taiho took a deep breath. He was about to do something very dangerous. Or very smart. He was not sure which. He opened a channel to the checkpoint. Corvin Checkpoint Control. This is the human vessel Wandering Star. Captain Park Taiho speaking. I am requesting emergency assistance, a voice answered. It was mechanical and official. Wandering Star, state the nature of your emergency. I am being pursued by 3 unidentified military vessels. They have been following my ship for 2 days. I believe they intend to attack me once I leave checkpoint territory. There was a pause. Then, Wandering Star, are you in immediate danger? Not yet. But I am requesting protection under the Corvin Treaty. As a registered human trading vessel, I have the right to safe passage through this checkpoint and into human space. Another pause. Longer this time. Taiho could feel the Valari women staring at him. They did not understand what he was doing. The checkpoint voice returned. Wandering Star, we are contacting the pursuing vessels. Please hold your position. Nira grabbed his arm. Her grip was strong. What are you doing? If they identify us, they will hand us over to the hunters. They will not check the ship. They have no reason to. How do you know? Because I am human. And humans get special treatment. It sounded arrogant. It was arrogant. But it was also true. Earth had built strong relationships with many species. Human traders were everywhere. Human diplomats solved problems. Human doctors healed the sick. Over time, humans had become valuable. And valuable people got protected. The screen changed. A new face appeared. This one was human. A woman in a military uniform. She looked tired, but alert. Wandering Star, this is Commander Beak Gina of the Earth Patrol Cruiser Horizon. We received your distress signal. Can you confirm the situation? Taiho felt relief wash through him. A human patrol ship. Here it was lucky. Incredibly lucky, Commander. I am a registered trader. 3 vessels have been following me. I believe they are pirates or bounty hunters. I am requesting escort through the checkpoint and into human space. Commander Beak studied him through the screen. Her eyes were sharp. She was looking for lies. Taiho kept his face calm. He was not lying. Not exactly. He was just not telling the whole truth. Wandering Star, we are scanning your credentials. A moment passed. Your registration is valid. However, our sensors show 5 non-human life signs on your ship. Please explain. This was the dangerous moment. Taiho did not hesitate. They are refugees, Commander. They requested passage to human space. I agreed to transport them. What species? Velati, Commander Beak's expression did not change. But her eyes narrowed slightly. Valari refugees are unusual. Are they aware that Valari citizens require special visas to enter human territory? They are. They plan to apply for asylum when we reach port. More silence. Taiho could feel sweat on his back. If Commander Beak decided to investigate, everything would fall apart. The hunters would get them. Story would die. All of them would die. But Commander Beak was human, and humans, despite all their flaws, believed in helping people. It was built into their culture, their history, their laws. Wandering Star, the commander said finally. The 3 pursuing vessels have been identified as Valari military ships. They claim you are transporting deserters and criminals. They are demanding that we hand you over. Nira's hand tightened on her pistol. Rilla made a small sound of fear. Even Kessa looked ready to run. Tejo kept his voice steady. Commander, I am a human captain on a human ship. Those vessels have no authority over me. The Corvin Treaty guarantees my right to safe passage. I am asking the Earth Fleet to honor that treaty. Commander Beak was silent for a long time. Then, slowly, she smiled. It was a small smile, tired but real. Wandering Star, your request is granted. The Horizon will escort you through the checkpoint and into human space. The Valari vessels have been warned to keep their distance. If they follow, we will consider it an act of aggression. Tejo let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me yet, Captain. You will have to answer questions when you reach port. Make sure your passengers have good answers. The screen went dark. For a moment, no one moved. Then Dova laughed. It was a strange sound. Surprised and confused. That worked, she said. He just talked to them, and that worked. Rila was staring at Tejo like he had performed magic. They are leaving. The hunter ships are leaving, it was true. On the sensor screen, the 3 military vessels were turning away. They were not happy. But they were not willing to fight the Earth fleet. Not for 5 deserters. Not today, Nira released Tejo's arm. She looked at him with new eyes. How did you know they would help? I did not know. I hoped. You risked everything on hope. Sometimes hope is all you have. Nira shook her head. She did not understand. But she did not look at him like a prisoner anymore. She looked at him like something else. Something she had never seen before. Humans are strange, she said. Tejo smiled. We get that a lot. The Wandering Star moved through the checkpoint. The Horizon flew beside them like a guardian. Ahead, the stars of human space waited. They were not safe yet. There would be questions at the port. There would be problems. But for now, they had survived. And sometimes, survival was enough. Kessa looked back at Tejo from the pilot's seat. For the first time, she did not look empty. She looked curious. You did not fight, she said. You talked. And you won. Fighting is expensive, Tejo replied. Talking is free. Kessa thought about that. Then she turned back to the controls. But Tejo saw something change in her posture. The tension was gone. Just a little. Just enough. The ship flew on. And somewhere in the cargo bay, a sick girl slept peacefully. One step closer to the medicine that might save her life. The days after the checkpoint were different. Something had changed on the Wandering Star. The air felt lighter. The silence felt less heavy. The crew no longer watched Tejo like he was a threat. They watched him like he was a mystery they wanted to solve. Kessa was the first to change. 2 days after the checkpoint, they entered the Veil Nebula. It was a cloud of gas and dust that stretched across millions of kilometers. Ships could pass through it, but the journey was difficult. The gas confused sensors. The dust damaged engines. Most pilots avoided it completely. But the nebula was also the fastest route to New Sol Station. And Sori did not have time for a long journey. Kessa sat in the pilot's seat, her hands on the controls. Her face was tight with concentration. The nebula swirled around them in colors of purple and gold. It was beautiful. It was also deadly. Tejo stood behind her, watching the sensors. They were useless. The screens showed only static and noise. Flying here was like flying blind. There's a pocket ahead, Kessa said. Dense gas. I cannot see through it. Tejo looked at the navigation chart. It was old and incomplete. No one had mapped this section of the nebula properly. Can you go around it? No. The dust field on the left will tear the hull apart. The magnetic storm on the right will destroy our electronics. The only way is through. She did not ask for help. She did not admit she was struggling. But Taiho could see her hands shaking slightly on the controls. Even the best pilot had limits. "Let me help," he said. Kessa looked at him. Her silver eyes were hard. "You are not a pilot." "I was. For 10 years, I flew through worse than this." She did not believe him. He could see it in her face. But she was tired. Tired of being alone? Tired of carrying everything by herself? Slowly, she moved to the side. She did not leave the pilot's seat, but she made space for him. Taiho sat beside her. He put his hands on the secondary controls. "You fly. I will watch the patterns. 2 eyes are better than 1. They flew together. Kessa moved the ship left and right, up and down, following paths that only she could see. Taiho watched the gas clouds, the dust movements, the tiny signs that warned of danger. When he saw something, he told her. When she needed to change direction, she did it instantly. For 3 hours, they flew like one person. No words, no arguments. Just trust. When they finally emerged from the nebula, Kessa let out a long breath. Her hands dropped from the controls. She looked at Taiho. "You were telling the truth," she said. "You can fly. I told you. I did not believe you, I know." Kessa was quiet for a moment. Then she said something unexpected. "Thank you." It was a small word, but from her, it meant everything. Taiho nodded and left her alone with the stars. Dova changed next. The ship's secondary thruster failed again on the 5th day. Taiho found her in the engine room, surrounded by parts and tools. She was hitting a metal panel with her fist. "Stupid human garbage ship," she muttered. Taiho picked up a wrench. "Need help?" Dova glared at him. Then she threw a broken component at his feet. "Fix this. It makes no sense. Your species builds everything wrong." Taiho examined the part. It was a fuel injector. One of the seals had worn out. A simple problem, but the Valari version of the same part was completely different. Dova did not know how to fix it because she did not understand human design. "It is not wrong," Taiho said. "It is just different. Different is wrong. No, different is just different."
Hey.
He sat down beside her and began working. Human ships are built for repair, not perfection. Everything breaks eventually, so we make it easy to fix. Dova watched him work. Her silver eyes followed every movement of his hands. Valari ships are built to last forever. We do not need repairs. And when something breaks, we replace the whole system, or we abandon the ship. Right. Taiho smiled. "That sounds expensive." Dova was quiet. She did not have an answer for that. They worked together for 2 hours. Taiho explained each step. He showed her how human components connected. He taught her the logic behind the design. Dova listened. She did not agree with everything, but she stopped calling it garbage. When the thruster was fixed, Dova looked at him differently. "You are not like other humans I have met." "How many humans have you met?" 3. I killed 2 of them." "Ow." Taiho stopped moving. He looked at her carefully. "And the 3rd? He ran away before I could catch him." Dova paused. "I was a soldier. I did what I was ordered to do. Now I am not a soldier anymore. Why did you stop?" Dova looked at the engine. Her face was hard to read. "Because orders stopped making sense. Because I got tired of killing people who never did anything to me. Because Rilla asked me to help save her sister and I could not say no." She walked away without another word. But Taiho understood. They were not so different after all. Yen found him that night in the small kitchen area. She was making tea, or something like tea. A Valari drink that smelled like flowers and metal. "Cannot sleep," she said. It was not a question. No, humans need more sleep than Valari. "You should rest." "I know. I just cannot stop thinking." Yen poured 2 cups of the strange tea. She handed one to Taiho. He took it carefully. The liquid was warm and tasted bitter.
Out.
She asked. "The past. The future. Everything." Yen sat across from him. She wrapped her long fingers around her cup. "Valari, do not think about the past. We believe it is finished, gone. Only the present matters. And humans think about everything, past, present, future. We cannot stop. That sounds exhausting. Taiho laughed. It surprised him. He had not laughed in a long time. It is very exhausting, Yen smiled. It was a small smile, but real. You confuse me, Taiho. Humans confuse all of us. You are soft. You talk when you should fight. You help when you should run. You care about strangers. It does not make sense. Maybe that is why we survive. Maybe. Yen looked at him with her silver eyes. Or maybe you are just lucky. Maybe both. They drank their tea in silence. It was comfortable, peaceful. For a few minutes, Taiho forgot that he was a prisoner on his own ship. Rilla came to him on the 7th day. She was carrying a small photograph. The image showed 2 young Valari girls standing together. One was Rilla, the other was smaller, with a bright smile. This is Suri, Rilla said. Before she got sick, Taiho took the photograph carefully. The girl in the image looked happy, full of life. It was hard to connect that image with the pale figure sleeping in the medical pod. She is beautiful, he said. She is the only family I have left. Rilla's voice was quiet. Our parents died when we were children. There was an attack on our colony. Valari military killed them because they spoke against the government. Sori was only 4 years old. I raised her. I protected her. And now, her voice broke. She could not finish. Taiho handed back the photograph. We will save her. How can you be sure? I cannot be sure, but I will do everything I can. That is all any of us can do. Rilla looked at him. In her eyes, he saw something that surprised him. Trust. Real trust. Why do you help us? We took your ship. We threatened your life. We gave you no reason to care about us. Taiho thought about the question. It deserved a real answer. Because you needed help, he said finally. Because your sister is sick? Because everyone deserves a chance. That is what being human means to me. Rilla did not respond. She just stood there, looking at him with her silver eyes full of tears. Then she did something unexpected. She hugged him. It was quick and awkward. Valari did not hug. It was not part of their culture. But Rilla held him for a moment, and Taiho could feel how scared she was. How tired, how desperate. When she pulled away, she did not say anything. She just walked back to the cargo bay, where her sister slept. Nara found him that night on the bridge. He was sitting in the captain's chair, watching the stars. She stood beside him, silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke. The crew trusts you now, I noticed. They should not trust so easily. Trust is dangerous. Taiho looked at her. Do you trust me? Nira did not answer immediately. She studied his face like she was looking for something. I do not know. But I have been hurt before. Betrayed before. Trust does not come easily to me. That is okay. Trust takes time. You have done nothing to hurt us. You have helped us. You have protected us. By all logic, I should trust you. She paused. But logic and feeling are different things. Yes, they are. Nira was quiet again. Then she sat down in the chair beside him. It was the first time she'd ever sat near him without a weapon in her hand. Tell me about Earth, she said. Taiho smiled. What do you want to know? Everything, so he told her. He told her about blue oceans and green forests, about cities that touch the sky and villages hidden in mountains, about art and music and food, about war and peace and everything in between. Nira listened. She asked questions. She laughed once. When he told her about a silly human holiday where people dressed in costumes, for a few hours, they were not captor and prisoner. They were not Valarian human. They were just 2 people, talking in the dark, waiting for tomorrow. And tomorrow was coming fast. New Sol Station was only 2 days away. New Sol Station appeared on the screen like a city floating in space. It was huge. Massive arms of metal stretched out in all directions. Lights blinked from thousands of windows. Ships moved around it like fish swimming near a reef. This was one of humanity's greatest achievements, a medical hub at the edge of colonized space, a place where anyone could find help. Taiho slowed the wandering star as they approached. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. They had made it. After everything, they had actually made it. Rila stood behind him, staring at the station with wide eyes. She had never seen anything like it. None of them had. Valari stations were smaller, darker, built for war, not healing. "It is so big," she whispered. "Yes, humans like to build big things." Naira stood at her usual position beside the captain's chair. Her face was calm, but Taiho could see tension in her shoulders. They were in human space now. Everything was unknown. Everything was dangerous in a different way. The communication screen lit up. A human face appeared. Male, young. He wore the uniform of station security. "Wandering Star, this is New Soul Station Control. Please state your purpose." "This is Captain Park Taiho. I have a medical emergency on board, requesting immediate docking and treatment." The security officer checked something on his screen. His eyes narrowed. "Captain, our sensors show 5 Valari life signs on your ship. Valari citizens require special authorization to enter this station." "I understand. We are requesting emergency asylum. One of the passengers is a child in critical condition. She needs treatment that only human doctors can provide." The officer frowned. "Asylum requests require processing time. That could take days." "She does not have days. Please, contact your medical director. Tell them the situation." The screen went dark. Taiho waited. Around him, the Valari crew was silent. They knew everything depended on this moment. 5 minutes passed. Then Tenrila was shaking. Yen put a hand on her shoulder. Even Dova looked nervous. The screen lit up again. A different face this time. A woman. Older. Her eyes were sharp but kind. She wore the white coat of a medical director. "Captain Taiho, I am Director Yoon Gi. I understand you have a sick child on board." "Yes, Director." "A Valari girl. 14 years old. She has a blood disease. She is in a medical stasis pod, but her condition is getting worse. If she does not receive treatment soon, she will die." Director Yoon studied him through the screen. Then her eyes moved to something off camera. She was looking at sensor data, medical readings. She could probably see Sori's condition from there. "The disease you describe is treatable. We have the medicine. We have the doctors." She paused. "But the diplomatic situation is complicated. Valari deserters are not welcome in human space. There are political concerns." Taiho felt his heart sink. After everything, after all the danger and all the hope, they were going to be turned away because of politics. "Director," he said, keeping his voice calm, "I understand the political concerns, but this is a child. She did not desert. She did not fight in any war. She is just sick. She needs help. That is all." Director Yoon was quiet. Her eyes moved to the Valari women standing behind Taiho. She studied each of them. Nira, with her hard face. Kessa, with her empty eyes. Dova, with her nervous hands. Yen, with her gentle expression. And Rila, barely older than the girl they were trying to save. "These women took your ship," Director Yoon said. "They kidnapped you. Why are you helping them?" It was a good question. Taiho had asked himself the same thing many times. "Because they needed help?" he said simply. "Because that is what humans do." Director Yoon stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. "Wandering Star, you are cleared for emergency docking. Bay 12. Medical teams will be waiting." She paused. "Welcome to New Soul Station." The screen went dark. For a moment, no one moved. Then Rilla burst into tears. She fell to her knees, crying with relief. Yen knelt beside her, holding her. Even Dova wiped her eyes, though she pretended she was not crying. Nira looked at Taiho. Her silver eyes were wet. "Thank you." It was the first time she'd ever said those words to him. Taiho nodded. He did not trust his voice. The wandering star docked at Bay 12. The medical teams were waiting just as Director Yoon had promised. Humans in white coats with equipment and stretchers. They moved fast and professional. Taiho led them to the cargo bay where Suri slept in her pod. The medical team examined her quickly. Their faces were serious, but focused. "We can help her," the lead doctor said. "But we need to move now. Every minute matters." They loaded Suri onto a stretcher. Rilla tried to follow, but security stopped her. Valari were not allowed in the medical wing without authorization. "Please," Rilla begged. "She is my sister. I need to be with her." The security officer shook his head. "I am sorry. Rules are rules." Taiho stepped forward. "She stays with her sister. I will take responsibility." "Captain, you do not have the authority to. I am a registered human citizen. I am invoking my right to sponsor asylum seekers. Under Section 12 of the Refugee Protection Act, I can guarantee their conduct while their applications are processed." The security officer blinked. He clearly did not expect that. He looked at his datapad, checking the regulations. His face changed when he found what Taiho described.
"That is
Technically correct." He did not look happy about it. "Fine, but if there are any problems, you are responsible." "I understand." Security officer stepped aside. Rilla looked at Taiho with gratitude that words could not express. Then she ran after her sister. The rest of the crew was taken to a waiting area. It was a small room with chairs and a window looking out at the station. Security guards stood at the door. They were polite but watchful. The Valari sat in silence. They were not prisoners, but they were not free either. Everything depended on what happened in the medical wing. And what happened with their asylum applications? Taiho sat with them. He did not have to. He could have returned to his ship. He could have left the station and continued with his life. But he stayed. Yen looked at him. "You should go. You have done enough. I will stay." "Why?" "Because we are a crew. Crews stay together." The words surprised him. But as he said them, he realized they were true. These 5 women had kidnapped him. They had threatened his life. They had turned his world upside down. And somehow, in the chaos and the fear, they had become his crew. Hours passed. Day turned to night. Night turned to morning. On the 3rd day, a nurse came to the waiting room. Her face was tired but smiling. "She is awake," she said. "Sori is awake. She is asking for her sister." Rilla jumped to her feet. Tears streamed down her face. She ran out of the room before anyone could stop her. The nurse looked at the others. "She is going to be fine. The treatment worked. A few more weeks of recovery, and she will be healthy again." Nira closed her eyes. Her body, tense for so long, finally relaxed. Kessa put her face in her hands. Dova laughed with relief. Yen simply smiled, gentle and calm. Taiho felt something warm in his chest. He had forgotten what that feeling was. It took him a moment to recognize it. Hope. Real hope. Later that day, Taiho went to the observation deck. New Sol Station had a large window that looked out at the stars. He stood there, watching the universe move slowly past. Nira found him there. "The asylum applications were approved," she said. "All of us. We can stay in human space as long as we need." "That is good news, yes." Nira stood beside him, looking at the same stars. "We owe you everything. Our lives. Sori's life. We can never repay that debt. There is no debt." "I did what was right." Nira shook her head. "I do not understand you. I do not understand humans. We took your ship. We threatened to kill you. And you saved us anyway." Taiho thought about that. How could he explain something so simple? How could he put into words what it meant to be human? "In the war," he said slowly, "I did many things I am not proud of. I followed orders that I knew were wrong. I hurt people who did not deserve to be hurt. When the war ended, I did not know who I was anymore." He paused. The stars were beautiful. So far away, so peaceful. "I bought the wandering star," because I wanted to find something, a purpose, a reason to keep going. And then you took my ship, and I thought, this is it. This is how my story ends, with strangers and violence and nothing that matters. He looked at Nira. Her silver eyes were watching him carefully. But then I saw Suri. I saw Rila crying for her sister. I saw you trying so hard to save someone you loved, and I realized something. My story was not ending. It was just beginning. Beginning? I spent 10 years fighting because someone told me to. I spent 7 years running because I did not know what else to do. But now, for the first time, I made a choice. My choice. I chose to help you. Not because I had to, because I wanted to. He turned back to the stars. That is what being human means to me. We make choices, even when it is hard. Even when it does not make sense. We choose to care about each other. We choose to help. We choose to hope. Nira was silent for a long time. Then she said something he did not expect. Can we stay with you? On your ship? Taiho looked at her. What do you mean? The wandering star needs a crew. A real crew. You cannot fly alone forever. And we? She paused, searching for words. We have nowhere else to go. No purpose. No family except each other. You want to work for me? Not for you. With you as equals. As partners. She held out her hand. What do you say, Captain? Taiho looked at her hand. Blue skin, long fingers. The hand of someone who had been his enemy, his captor, and somehow had become his friend. He took it. Welcome to the crew, he said. 2 weeks later, the wandering star left New Sol Station. The ship looked different now. Dova had repaired everything that was broken and improved everything that was not. Kessa had optimized the flight systems. Yen had stocked the medical supplies. Rilla had decorated the common room with pictures and small plants, and Suri was there too. Thin and pale, but alive. She sat in the co-pilot seat, asking endless questions about the stars and the ship and the universe. Nira stood at her usual position, beside the captain's chair, but now she was smiling. Where to, Captain? Kessa asked. Taiho looked at the star map. So many places. So many possibilities. For the first time in years, the future did not feel empty. It felt full. Anywhere we want, he said. The galaxy is waiting. The wandering star moved into the darkness of space. 1 human. 5 Valeri. 1 recovered teenager who kept cheating at card games. They were not just a crew anymore. They were a family. And the galaxy had better be ready. Good choice, Nira said. Now sit in your chair, Captain. We have a long way to go. Taiho sat back in the captain's seat. His hand shook a little. He gripped the armrests to hide it. Around him, the 5 Valari women took positions on the bridge. They moved like soldiers, quick and silent. They knew what they were doing. One of them, a younger one with curious eyes, looked at him. She seemed almost interested in him, not like a threat. Like a puzzle she wanted to solve. Nay stood beside his chair. She did not sit. She watched the stars on the screen. Set course for the Outer Rim. Sector 7. We need to pass through the Corvin checkpoint in 3 days. Taiho entered the coordinates. The ship hummed as it changed direction. He was flying toward unknown space with 5 alien kidnappers. His dream of freedom had lasted about 10 minutes. But he was alive. And while he was alive, he could think. He could plan. He could wait for a chance. The wandering star moved through the darkness of space. And Park Taiho began to wonder what kind of trouble he had really found.